Just one sec. Does not want to let me. Just want to let me scroll through. Karen, any tips?
Are you able to click to the next page there? If you click,
Here we go.
or like
Yep.
the arrow button, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Looking
Okay,
great.
we're off to the races. Okay. So
All good.
thanks for attending tonight. So we will be going through an introduction to the faculty. We are a fairly large faculty, although small in population. Our student advising information, some information on practicums, which are work integrated learning opportunities within the faculty. And then at the end, a chance for questions and answer, and I'll do my best to answer them. So just so you know, a lot of students coming in are very focused on this science aspect, which is wonderful, but we're a dynamic faculty and we integrate strong multidisciplinary academic programming and research with extensive community outreach programming. So a great way to think about that is that each of your courses, when you're in kinesiology, is going to have a lab. So your lecture in your first year might be a very large room of 200 to 300 students, but your labs with every course are going to be approximately 25 students broken down into smaller groups if you're doing kind of group projects, say in the cadaver lab. So your experience is going to be very hands-on in addition to the academics. We also are a large faculty in the fact that we are comprised of the Olympic Oval, active living, the human performance lab, sports medicine, and the academics, of course. But what that means is there's a variety of different ways that you can apply your knowledge as you're learning and parallel to your learning. So there's a lot of different ways that you can take a kines degree, not just once you've completed, but also during your undergraduate journey. So again, we're comprised of the academic programs. So we have undergraduate, which is what we're chatting about this evening. We also have a graduate program with MSc, MKin, and PhD programs. So once students finish their undergraduate degree, they often go on to either master's programs or professional programs. And we do have those at the university. We have the Human Performance Lab, where if you can think of any type of athletic shoe, athletic equipment, it's been tested in this lab for performance, for performance enhancement, for injury mitigation, injury recovery, and that's straight down the hall from where this photo is taken. We also have the Dinos Athletics. Dinos Athletics are our varsity athletics team. So if any of you are athletes, we have our high performance teams. We also have club teams. Great opportunities to align athletics and your interest in sport, or an activity maybe you do just as a recreational thing, along with your academics and your time at the university. We also have the Olympic Oval, fastest ice in the world, and the team that builds that ice, which is just down the hallway the other way from this photo. They were actually at the Tokyo Olympics. They built the ice and they've done it a number of times. They're world renowned. And some of our labs, our activity labs, are held in the Oval. You can also go for just a skate at lunchtime. They have open skating and shinny hockey, so drop-in hockey if you're interested in something like that. We also have active living. Our active living is a massive unit within the university, but also Kines. Active living is comprised of things like the outdoor centers. So if you're moving here from a town where you don't do a lot of skiing or snowboarding and you want to give it a try, you can rent any equipment you need, from jackets to boots to toques, through the outdoor center so that you could get out and try something new without having to invest a ton into it. Active Living also, they run the gym, the fitness center in the faculty, which is open to all full-time students. So that's part of being a student at the University of Calgary, staying fit, healthy, and active and getting together with friends. We have a full size swimming pool, so that's also available for drop-in. There's also lots of courses and drop-in activities as well that you can sign up for, or just stop in and shoot some hoops or get together with friends and blow off some steam once in a while. We also have the Sport Medicine Center. Sport Medicine Center is open to the general public. Primarily, they focus on either injury prevention or addressing injuries that the public have. They also have our varsity athlete medical team, so physiotherapists, athletic therapists, and so on. Sports medicine, or actually all of these units, offer practicums, which are unpaid work placements, so that you can kind of dabble in different areas. You could go into sports med and see what it's like to be a physiotherapist for a term and work with one of those people. Or you could do communications with Dinos Athletics, or doing some of the video monitoring to check on how teams are performing in games and things like that. So Human Performance Lab, you could be doing a research practicum or research with some of the top researchers in the world who are doing studies in that area. So there's lots of different ways that these units can be integrated into your undergraduate degree. And it is something that sets us aside from other kinesiology programs in North America and across Canada, is that most have their academic programs, but they don't necessarily have all these other complementary components. And by having it all under the one umbrella of kinesiology, it means your undergraduate degree is tethered to each of these, or can be, as you see fit or you desire. So it is a really unique environment to be learning in. And then Calgary as a city and as a location, we're a sports city. So you've got everything from the Rocky Mountains to the Canadian Sport Institute, where athletes come from all over the world. The Olympic Oval also has top tier in Olympic athletes training and competing there. And you'll see in the Olympic Oval teams from all over the world. And all of those things really do build the type of community that we work, live, and play in kinesiology, and it benefits the experience of the student. I could go on, but I won't. I think I've exhausted this slide, but all of these different units being within kinesiology is unique to the University of Calgary and really does benefit students. We have about 1,100 undergraduate students total. So that's your bachelor's of kinesiology or Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology degree. We also have about 130 undergrad or graduate students. So those are the master's programs. We have a Master's of Science in Kines, which is research-based. We have a Master's of Kinesiology, which is course-based, and then PhDs. So as you proceed in your undergraduate degree, if you're interested in pursuing a graduate program, we do have them here at the University of Calgary, but also our faculty members, which there's about 40 of. They are internationally renowned researchers, and they'll be your instructors in your undergraduate degree. As you meet them and get to know them, they're wonderful people. They will be able to introduce you or advise you on different programs across Canada and around the world that might be best suited to where your long-term goals are. You don't have to have those goals set when you come into the university or into your undergrad. Those are something that you'll really discover, uncover, or either confirm or deny. So I'd say 50% of our students are thinking med school, 50% are thinking physiotherapy. And by the midpoint of second year, they more likely than not have completely changed their minds just from being exposed to faculty members in kinesiology across campus, and just the variety that you could take this degree in. It's pretty remarkable. We also have myself, I'm the manager, but we have 3 undergraduate student advisors for 1,100 students. That's a really good ratio on campus. So we offer drop-in advising either through Zoom or in person. Doors are open, you just walk in. There's rarely a lineup or any type of wait. And what that means is that when you come in to see an advisor in Kines, it's holistic advising. So whatever you need to talk about, whether it's your courses, struggles with courses, boyfriend dumped me and I don't know where to get the best ice cream on campus, whatever the thing is, those advisors, the advisors in Kines, have been at the university for a long time and in kinesiology for quite a while, and they'll be able to help you. If they don't have the information, they know who does, and they know where the best ice cream is for all sorts of reasons. So as I said, your courses are going to have labs. You're going to have activity classes. You're going to have research opportunities, tutorials, seminars that are conducted and hosted by various areas in the faculty with international researchers and professors. We also have practicums. So every aspect of your learning is going to have either a mandatory or an opportunity to apply the skills along the way. So you're not getting to the end of your degree and trying to, cram all this, application into it. You're doing it as you go, and it starts right from year 1. We have a course, Kines 201. It's an activity class. You do your lecture and your labs, depending on the lab that you choose for your schedule. You could be doing dance and rugby. You could be doing speed skating and squash. You could be doing yoga and lacrosse. Really, we book it based on space, and we book it based on the faculty members that are teaching the classes. We also have Kines 259 and 260 in first year. That's your human anatomy and physiology course. Lecture is about 250 to 300 students. Those labs are about 25 students broken down into 5-person pods, and you're in a cadaver lab working on cadavers in those small groups under the supervision of a lab TA. There's also a lab supervisor, and then there's your course instructor as well. And this is something, those the cadaver lab experiences are very unique at an undergraduate level, particularly in first year. But these are baseline courses that will build into your degree and are the prerequisites for almost everything you'll take in kinesiology. What you learn is evidence-based. It's based on research, scientific research. It is not based on the newest TikTok video or Instagram or any of that stuff. It is completely based on research and current science, often the research done at the university, but around the world as well. And as you can see from this photo, excellent students. Our students are engaged, they're pumped, they're mutually supportive. I've got to say, I've worked in post-secondary for about 30 years, and I have never seen a group of students year over year who are so collegial, so mutually supportive. And not only do they want to do well themselves, their success comes from helping others be successful. So it's a great environment to learn and have fun in too. So, and as you can see, they have a lot of fun. That's orientation, can't remember what year, but pre-COVID. And Matthew Chin, the gentleman right in the beginning at the front, he's almost completed his Cummings School of Medicine program now. So yeah, he left his undergrad and went on to do that. And a lot of the others in that group photo have gone on to fantastic other programs in Canada and around the world as well. So we offer 2 degree streams, and new students applying are often a little bit, what do I pick? Oh my God, I got to pick something specific. I have to know what I'm going to do for the next, however many years. So the nice thing in Kines is all of our programs have a common core. So every student in their first year, you're going to take pretty much the same courses: the anatomy, physiology, activity classes, intro to sports psychology, sociology in sport, those types of things. So if you chose to come into a Bachelor of Kines, and then you decide, you know what, I really enjoy these science courses, we can switch you to Bachelor of Science. The majors, same thing. So there are 40 courses. Each major, if you want to specialize in exercise and health physiology, biomechanics, leadership and coaching, you're going to have the common core that everybody takes. And then you're going to have the major requirements, which a major is kind of a specialization in a certain area. So those will be some of your other courses that you'll take as you go through your degree. But if you get into something and you choose, say, biomechanics, and you get into it and it's like, you know what, these engineering courses really aren't for me, you can just come and see the advisors and we'll help you with how you can change your major. So being in Kines with that common core, you can flex around in the first year or two, and your advisors are here to help you navigate that and understand that. And it's not like applying as a new student into the program. You can adjust. And so there's more information on that. If you wanted it, we can provide it from the advising office. We also have an optional honors program in fourth year. So students who achieve a certain GPA and secure a supervisor, so they've met a prof that they really like and are really interested in their area of research. If you approach that prof and they say, yeah, sure, I'd love to be your supervisor next year, then there's just an application process to have the honors designation updated on your file. You do a full year research project along with other courses in your final year, your fourth year. And if you complete and you're successful in everything, your degree would say Bachelor of Science in Exercise Physiology with honors. If you achieve a 3.6 GPA or higher at the end of that fourth year after you've completed your honors program, then you would say, Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Health Physiology or Leadership and Coaching, whatever it is, with first class honors. So these are designations that some students are really keen to achieve or to have on their degree. Others, it's not their thing, but it is an option in your final year. It's not something you apply for at the time of application. It's something you work towards and then talk to the advisors in your third year. So our specific majors are biomechanics. So that's the mechanics and the physics of body movement. So our human performance lab does a lot of work in this area where they're looking at, again, injury mitigation, injury prevention, performance enhancement through equipment quite often or through movement. So, it could be anything, and I've seen it in there, from riding boots to hockey sticks to golf clubs to rugby boots to basketballs, you name it. It's tested in the human performance lab, and it's often either Kines students or engineering students or biomedical students who are in there doing the research. Exercise and health physiology. So this is, how do you understand how your body metabolizes food, how your body reacts to physical activity. And right away in that first year anatomy physiology course, you're going to be potentially running some stairs, and then you're going to hop onto a heart rate monitor and see how is that impacting what your heart's doing, what your blood pressure is doing, and you work in small groups with that as well. We also have a kinesiology major. So this is, some people call this the general major. This gives you a ton of leeway. So you have a lot more open options. You're not specializing in anything in kinesiology specifically. So this is a fantastic degree to take or major to choose if you're thinking of doing maybe a minor from another area, maybe in computer science, because you're thinking, oh, I'd like to dovetail my kinesiology with a computer science degree and see where that takes me. Or you're wanting to study abroad and go, down to Australia in a winter term and take some courses there. It just has a lot more flexibility with options. So you can incorporate a lot of unique things that are unique to you and what you want to do. This degree or this major also is combined. So you can do, we have 3 combined degrees, a Bachelor of Kinesiology with a Bachelor of Commerce in Haskayne School of Business, a Bachelor of Kinesiology with a Bachelor of Arts Dance. And we also have a Bachelor of Kinesiology with a Bachelor of Education. So if those are of interest to you, it is a good idea to apply to those combined programs right out of high school. And you need to meet the requirements for both programs. If you decided along the way, you know what, I really don't need the commerce, I'm really enjoying my kinesiology, you can adjust the program. You can drop the other side and just stay in kines. Again, it's a change of program. It's not like you're reapplying to the university. But applying out of high school, these programs are often very prescribed in what you have to take in certain terms and years. So it is a good idea if you're thinking about one of the combined programs to apply to that right out of school. And then if you want to adjust or tweak along the way, the advisors in both faculties are happy to help with that. Leadership and coaching. So a lot of students think coaching, you know, that's my coach on the basketball team, you know, on the ice, whatever. The leadership aspect, I would say, over the past few years has almost become more emboldened in this program, where you're learning leadership skills not only in sport, but in organizations, in relationships, personally. And this lends really well to coaching. So this program is not only geared towards sport or movement, it's really is a global aspect that can be applied in many different ways. My favorite one, which we call MPAM because it's such a huge mouthful of words, motor and psychosocial aspects of movement. This one's going to get you into sports psychology, psychology of movement, psychology of wellness. It's also going to get you into neural and cognitive areas of understanding and knowledge. This gets right down to robotics. So how do we have profs in the faculty who will be teaching you, who are working on robotics, robotic arms, you know, brain stimulation on how you get that arm to move. So this one's a really interesting one. You do take psychology courses as part of this, but there's a lot more. So it can be from getting the couch potato off the couch and into the gym, but it can also be taken so much further than that in, you know, really understanding neural and cognitive abilities and stimuli, and how that can really reflect on different sports activities and also you know, wellness or medical type things. So again, active faculty, all students must fully participate, whether it's a lab, getting into the pool, whether it's rugby. Keep in mind, these labs are in first year. We don't want anyone getting hurt. We don't want anybody getting upset. But by putting yourself into an area that you might not have tried before, that's going to give you so much personally, and as a cohort of students coming in, you'll learn to laugh at yourself, you'll learn to laugh at with others, but you'll also learn new skills. So we often, as we get older, and I can vouch for that, believe me, we stop trying new things. We stick with what we're good at, what we're familiar with, what's comfortable. And this Kines 201 class, this activity class, pushes you outside of that. You have to participate. You have to dance. You have to, if swimming is your lab, that's what you would be doing. And it is a really good opportunity. And we have students who have done, I'm going to use this swimming particularly. One young man came in terrified of the pool, had a swimming lab, could have swapped him out. We don't normally do that, but we could find something. He worked with the instructor for the fall term because his lab or his course was going to be in winter. And she just gave him some tips on how to acclimatize to the pool environment. And he started literally by looking through the glass door into the pool, then sitting on a bench, getting used to the humidity and the smell, putting his legs in the pool. And then the class started, he clung to the wall. He finished the course successfully and passed it, and it was all great. And it was a completely terrifyingly new, and I have his permission to share this. He came back a couple years later And he said, if you ever hear of students scared to try one of these labs and they want to change out, tell them not to. He ended up starting canoeing. He ended up river surfing. But it opened up a whole world of activities that he never would have tried because he had never been nudged to try something different. So we're an active faculty, full participation, but that means that you're also going to gain a lot out of those opportunities to try different things and just try it. Do your best. You don't have to be. I don't skate, but you get on the ice, you try to skate, and maybe I can eventually go without a chair. Who knows? But that's the intention, is for you guys to try something new and really encourage each other and really start to build that cohort. So our degree consists of 40 unique courses, so total of 40 courses. In order to finish in 4 years, you would do 10 courses per year. That could be 5 in fall, 5 in winter, nothing in spring, summer. That could be 4 in fall, 4 in winter, and maybe 1 or 2 in spring, summer. On average, our students take 5 to 5.25 years to complete their degree because they take a reduced course load to incorporate other things, maybe on campus or personally, into their lives that are going to also benefit them along with their academics, or to kind of manage their GPA along the way. So they know that they're going to be applying to some competitive programs potentially. So by reducing course load, it just makes it more manageable. It makes them be able to manage or balance their wellness with their academics as they progress along. So you need a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 50 non-kinesiology courses. So we often hear from students who are like, I love the kine stuff. I don't want to take anything else. And believe me, it's in your benefit. You have to take at least 5. And the max is 15 outside of the Faculty of Kinesiology. And when you're applying to other schools, they want to see that diversity quite often. They want to see that you've got a little bit of breadth and some other interests within, along with your kine stuff. You can also add minors and embedded certificates to your degree. Those are things we can talk about once you're admitted to the program. A minor is usually about 10 to 12 courses in another faculty, and that can fill your options. Embedded certificates, same thing. We have a few embedded certificates where some kines courses are recognized towards them. So you take a few more, and then you have an embedded certificate in leadership or in wellness. And there's sustainability studies. There's all sorts of ways you can use your options. Students get a little bit disconcerted sometimes. I don't want to take random courses. I don't know what to take. And if they can find a minor or an embedded certificate that can kind of, give them a little bit of an area of focus, it just makes it a little bit more comfortable. So our combined degrees, I mentioned this a little bit before. A combined degree, instead of 40 courses, it's usually 50 with commerce, with the Bachelor of Commerce. It tends to be a little bit more than 50 courses, but typically it's about 5 years, 50 courses. Bachelor of Kinesiology with a Bachelor of Arts in Dance. We have a faculty member who is a leading researcher in the science of dance. And she's within the Faculty of Kinesiology, but as you can see from this, it's not something you would expect in a dance class, but this is really going into the biomechanics, the physiology, the injury prevention around the uniqueness of dance movement. Also yoga, there's some other things that are incorporated into this, but it is a really unique program. It's one of 2 in North America. So we're very fortunate to have that offered at the University of Calgary. Bachelor of Kinesiology, Bachelor of Commerce, lots of students take this. We often see our students, Garmin has a facility just in Cochrane, and we do see a lot of our business students work out there doing work placements for 4 to 8 months. They often have placements there. We have a student who just completed, she did her BKIN, and now she's just completed her master's of business management, and she has a prototype that's going to be developed, and it's using her business acumen with her kines and just dovetailing of those. And we have tons of alumni who have opened up their own businesses in a whole slew of different types. And it, again, dovetailing the kinesiology with the business aspects has been really beneficial for them. Bachelor of Kinesiology and Bachelor of Education. So in order to teach phys ed in the province of Alberta, you do need a kinesiology degree if you're teaching, of course, in middle school or high school with your Bachelor of Education. So those are just, those are our 3 combined degrees with the other faculties. And again, 5 years, but really what that is 50 courses. So typically a student would do 1 undergrad degree, 40 courses, then apply potentially to an after degree, do another 20 courses, and then they would have their 2 degrees. So this kind of smushes it up. And instead of doing 60 courses, you're going to do about 50, and then you'll have 2 degrees upon completion. And again, it's a good idea to apply for these from high school. And if you change your mind along the way, we're here to help you. And it's really not a cumbersome or risky thing to make adjustments to these combined degrees. If you change your mind and decide that you only want to do 1, it's completely okay. And we're here to help. So a few things that we're known for in Kines is excellent student advising. So the fact that we have drop-in advising, you're not waiting to get in to see us. Our staff members, our advising team have been on campus for many Years. They have great contacts across campus. They know what the resources are. They know how to navigate all the nuances. And our ratio 1,100 students with 3 advisors is pretty amazing. We have some really unique undergraduate study areas in kinesiology that are quiet, tucked away, have outlets, so that you can really, hone in on those midterms or, writing reports. We have an excellent computer lab that actually just, they did a huge refurbishment and completed that last week. The whole lab's been revamped and will be set up again for January. And this is a drop-in lab for any students to go in if you're working on group projects or just yourself. There are computers there, but you can also bring your own laptop or devices, plug in and just work away in a nice, clean, quiet space. We have an equity, diversity, and inclusion committee that is comprised of undergrad students, grad students, faculty, staff from OVAL, active living, all over the faculty, the dean. And we have a webpage devoted to this. We also have different events, and we have a lot of training and facilitations that are happening for our students and for our staff as well. But it's a great committee to become a part of, to learn, to understand. It's a really safe place to become more informed and to ask questions and to offer, perspectives as well. So great committee. We have the KSS, which is the Kinesiology Student Society. They were award-winning for a number of years. The Kines Student Society offer mentoring programs. They have Kindustry, where they bring a whole bunch of alumni in it's around February, and it's basically a career evening where you get a chance to talk to people in all sorts of different careers and jobs, and find out what was their path. Why did they choose it? What was the hiccup along the way? What was the clincher for them that, yes, this is exactly what I want to do? And just to get some more insight. It's also a great opportunity to learn how to network and to kind of build those connections with people, because you never know how those might serve you in the future. KSS at the beginning of the year for first year students also runs Kin Camp. So it's modified a little bit since COVID. They invite all of the first year students to get on a bus and go to Banff, and you do a river tour, a river trip down out in Banff. And then you have some free time to just mash around and get to know some of your, classmates and people, you've never met, that from all over the world in Canada. And then they bus you back in. But it's a great way. And we know so many students who have met their best friends for life at King Camp. So KSS, I can't go on enough about them. They're a wonderful resource and just a really great group of people that have all sorts of events, right up to gala. So at the end of the year, they have a really formal event. It's usually pretty posh. Everybody's dressed very nicely. And they get together usually off campus and have a lot of fun that way. We also have a student union rep. So the student union is a University of Calgary organization, and your kinesiology representative is the voice of Kines to that union. And that union then takes that forward to higher management with decision making. The SU rep also is in close contact usually with the dean and the associate dean academic. So if there is kind of a rumbling or something's happening, or you feel something's needing to be addressed, they'll take those concerns from the collective and then bring them forward in a really professional and caring manner, and then go back to the students and let them know the feedback from that. Advisors. So this is our advising office. If you haven't been to the Kines facility, we have this big, beautiful atrium with a massive tree and skylights. And it's just beautiful. And there's a whole bunch of like benches and stuff. Students hang around a lot. They'll have lunch, they'll study, they'll talk, they'll play games, all sorts of stuff. And our offices are right next to that. And again, drop in so you can see the girl with the backpack. Doors open, she walks in, sits down, has a nice chit chat, no time limits or anything, about whatever. It doesn't matter what you have questions about, what you need help. We're there to give you advice on the programs, registration, progression, but also campus services, exchanges internationally, or experiential learning like practicums and so on, graduation requirements, all sorts of stuff. Where this is the club hub, how can I find out more information on anything? These guys are this is my team. I love them. And they're wealth of information, and they can be reached. So if you do have any questions specific to the program or courses, kinesiinfo@ucalgary.ca is the best email to contact. We try to get back within 3 days. We're usually pretty good about same day. And yeah, so feel free to contact us through that as well. And then our students. So U of C Kinesiology, they're outstanding. They engage in so many different ways, and I would say in that picture, each one of them has engaged in a very different way. And whether it's research or volunteering in the Thrive Cancer Center on campus, or mentoring other students, they've all contributed in some significant way to the betterment, and they leave a legacy. And I think that that's the one thing I would say about kinesiology students, is that the time that they have in the faculty isn't just about their journey. There's always kind of a ripple effect that benefits future students. So they have Instagram, and they have Facebook, and I don't know if they have TikTok. They probably do, but you can also follow them. And it's a great way for you to reach out as well and connect with current students if you do have any questions, or you want to know more about what their experience is like as a current student in kinesiology. So that's it for me. This is our website, kinesiinfo@ucalgary.ca. If you have questions about admissions, Karen is here right now. I'm here to answer any questions about our program. Or you can email future.students@ucalgary.ca if you wanted to contact the recruitment and admissions team that way. So thank you very much for joining, and we will now take questions if you have any. You can put them in the chat. You can ask. My pleasure. We have Tierney, we have tons of non sport related. We have practicum positions with our communications team, with varsity athletics, with our communications team in the dean's office. There are research practicums. There's like everything from Calgary Flames to Shell Oil to human resources for ergonomics at the university. So a lot of people think of kinesiology as sport, because it was that way. It was physical education for so many years. And that was our history, right? We don't have physical education as a program anymore. Our focus really is on movement, on health promotion, on wellness promotion. So there are a ton of different ways that you can incorporate this degree in so many other things than sport. And that includes our practicums. So about 250-ish seats. And that's, it's a big on the ish per year. It really depends. There's a lot of math that goes into how many students we can admit. It's based on, you know, students that don't complete, students that graduate, students who, you know, change programs. There's a ton of math that goes into calculating those. So 250-ish, big on the ish.
I'm happy to answer the anonymous attendees question, Jody.
Yeah,
So I think that's the next one here. So first of all, you're welcome. And of course, the thanks goes to Jody, but I can certainly kind of walk you through that admissions process for an IB diploma student, whether there's special requirements or subjects needed. I think the very first thing that I'm going to share, and hopefully everybody's able to see this link in the chat that I'll send. So this is a little widget that I personally love to use. So this is for students, whether you're an IB or a national curriculum, if you're in an international school, or if you're here in Alberta or any other Canadian curriculum, British, almost anything that you can think of, it will be in this widget here. You would select that as your education system. And of course, if you are attending university, just coming straight from high school, you would select yourself as a high school or high school student or high school graduate. And then specific to kinesiology, that would be the program that you would select. So in the case of IB, I'm going to actually go through the widget here, but there's really no difference, I would say, whether you are an IB student or if you are a national curriculum student, considering our kinesiology program as well, in that there's nothing really different that you need to do. So in short, this is kind of for everybody. The University of Calgary admissions process does not actually require an essay component. Your application is really based almost exclusively on your transcript. So whether you're thinking, oh, that means I need to ask my counselor to write me a reference letter, that will also not be required. So in the case for an IB diploma student, we are going to be looking at essentially 4 or 5 courses. So the first one is, of course, English, whether you're taking English A language and literature, HL or SL is completely fine. But of course, you're doing English B, unfortunately, we only accept HL, so not SL there. In terms of math, that is also going to be a requirement, but you might be very happy to know for IB diploma students, math, we take AA and AI, both HL or SL. The other two that we will require is chemistry, HL or SL, biology, HL or SL. Now, we say one more, it's an approved course or option. Ultimately, you know, if you're doing the IB diploma, you're going to be doing 6 classes anyways, 3 at the HL and 3 at the SL. So pretty much anything remaining on your IB diploma, that will be one that we would consider. Now, we do look at that as an overall average. So out of 45, which means this includes your TOK, your extended essay, and your CAS. So out of 45 points, we're looking at an estimated average of 33 to 34. So hopefully the anonymous question that was sent out, I was able to answer that. But again, the information that I just provided was for IB diploma students only. If you do have questions because you're in a different curriculum, feel free to ask. But that link that I just sent out would be a fantastic resource following today. If you do have, you just want to double check online whether you meet those admission requirements or not, that link will still be there, and you can play around with that depending on the curriculum that you're in. Thank you.
And I think the next one might be for you too, Karen. What's a good second choice to select when applying? Something similar to Kines.
This is always an interesting question, because it is obviously hard for me to make that decision for you, of course. But generally speaking, because the first choice is the one that, we encourage students to select for the one that they really want, we would say it's kind of like a backup one, but potentially one that has a slightly lower admission requirement, whether it's the GPA, or if you're doing the IB diploma, one with a slightly lower score out of 45 in that case. So it is important to keep in mind here when you are selecting your two programs, because your application fee does include a first choice and a second choice, that the first choice again is the one that you really want. And the reason we say that too is because if you get an offer for your first choice, the admissions team will actually no longer look at your second option. They're just going to assume, well, this is the one that they really want and they got into that, so why would we bother with the second? So be strategic when you are selecting a second option. But I think just generally speaking, if your interests are very much aligned to kinesiology, I think a more natural one would be something in the sciences versus, picking something from business, let's say. But that's also not to say that that's impossible, because I think you would remember Jody in her presentation earlier, she did mention combined degrees, so that may be something that you may want to consider as well, or instead. Hopefully I was able to answer that. Kyla, I'm not sure, is Jody, are you maybe able to offer some insight on that one, or?
The general acceptance rate?
Yeah.
It really depends on the year. If you're talking about the ratio of those accepted versus to those applicants, it changes from year to year. And then we get into, like how many students actually accept versus cancel. There's a lot of nuances with that. But again, overall, approximately 250-ish, heavy on the ish, are admitted to the undergrad degree each year. And that's a blend of transfer, which is a very low number of students, and high school applicants.
I guess, I don't have too much additional insight into that either, but I would have to echo Jody's comments. It is kind of an ish, and it's really hard for us to kind of predict. It does vary year to year because it does depend on the pool of applicants for that particular intake. But I think perhaps one of the things that are important to consider is, again, whether you are close to that estimated competitive admission average. And even more importantly, do you have the required courses for admission? Because you can have a fantastic GPA coming out of high school, but if you're missing, say for example, in kinesiology, you're missing like a science or something, that might be detrimental because it wouldn't matter that you have the perfect score if you are missing a required course. Yeah.
So, and I see Katie.
Thank you. So I'm assuming we answered it.
Yeah. Katie has her hand up here. So Katie, did you want to ask a question verbally?
Katie, just one moment. If you want to ask it verbally, I do believe I need to click allow to talk. If you're comfortable with that, go right ahead. You are now allowed to speak into the mic. You might have to unmute. But if it's not working out, feel free to just, type it into the Q&A section there too, Katie.
Katie in the lower left.
Okay.
There you go. Oh, that's
a ghost
okay.
hand. That's okay.
I'll take it as you were waving. So I'm
yeah. Okay. We do have several more minutes, so don't be shy. This is the perfect time to ask some questions. But while you guys are all thinking of more questions, to stump myself and Jody, I will put perhaps my contact information. I do believe it was on the last slide that Jody shared, but students can always reach out to our department here, future.students@ucalgary.ca, if there are questions beyond today that we were not necessarily able to address, or you didn't get an opportunity to ask. There is another link that I will also send in the chat here, depending where you are in the world, perhaps. This website is our undergraduate recruitment team. We've got a large team to support, all the questions and all the prospective students that may be interested in coming to the University of Calgary. But yeah, based on where you are located, we've got different recruitment specialists to kind of walk you through the different areas of questions or concerns that you may have.
And I'll just post our advising email as well. So any questions about program or courses, this is the best email to ask. I'm going to ask a question if it's okay.
Mhm.
Can you guys just answer through the chat, or how many of you have already applied? Have any of you applied? Yay!
Wow.
Fantastic.
Oh, I will answer that first question there again with an anonymous attendee. If I got accepted with conditions through early admission, do you know approximately how low my average can drop down? Ooh, that's always a tricky one. I mean, there are conditions to that offer, namely that, you will have to graduate from high school, you do have to maintain your average, and of course, complete the courses that are required. So I know specifically, well, what does it mean, maintain my average? I guess if I absolutely had to put, a number on it, I would say, let's try not to deviate too much from, a 3 to 5% difference. I mean, obviously there may be extenuating circumstances for students. If it were to kind of deviate a lot more than that, I think it would be important to reach out to our admissions team and have that conversation to see if we can maybe understand kind of what happened for that deviation to be much greater. But again, I do hesitate to say what that drop will look like, but I will again reiterate that I think a 3 to 5% is relatively normal, so to speak. And I don't believe we typically rescind too many offers. So maybe that's an indication, but yeah. Hopefully that was a comfortable enough answer. Let me know if there is a follow-up to that. That's fantastic. Yeah, there are several students who have applied.
Yeah, looks good.
Children who have, yeah.
Yeah, that's super. Karen, October 1st was when applications opened, right?
So yes and no. So for the domestic applicants, yes, that's correct. It opened back a month or two ago now, October 1st. But for our international applicants, their applications actually opened back on August 15th. So they had it a little bit earlier was when it opened, yes.
And it closes when? When does the application close?
So March 1st would be the deadline, March 1st, 2024, if you're looking at the September as in fall 2024 intake. Yeah.
Thanks. Another question about early admission.
Early admission offers. This, unfortunately, I don't have an answer or a number for. But if you were the same anonymous attendee, most definitely won because you have received a conditional offer. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know that. And congratulations if it was yourself. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, so I mean, let's be completely honest. The amount of students, I don't know how many, but it's a very small percentage of students who do get an offer as early as November. You have to remember that some students applied, only October 1st. So it is a very early time to receive an offer, but the bulk of the offers won't typically happen until maybe February or March. So don't be too overly concerned. If you haven't applied, I think that would be the most pressing thing, the one that I would encourage you to consider right now. Applying early most certainly does have its advantages. You'd be able to upload your transcripts and any supporting documents, including English proficiency, which I'm sorry I didn't really mention that earlier. Of course, in addition to, you know, the science courses for kinesiology as an example, and math and academic English language proficiency will always be a requirement for every single program that the University of Calgary offers as well. So please keep that in mind. But yes, applying early is my number one tip. Yeah.
Mine too.
It looks like there's a follow-up. Sorry, I'm just reading through it here. To receive an early admissions offer, do you have to have already completed? No, generally you do not. You do not. But of course, the expectation is that you will complete them by the time the deadline comes around. But at the time of application or at the time of offer, not necessarily, because some students can get an offer based on their predicted grades even. I'll just read Kyla's just in case I might need to adjust that one too. So my daughter just texted us from dance class. She actually has not yet applied. She is working on her personal statement for dance and is very nervous. Oh, okay. That's great. I mean, it's great that she's working on it. But I would say in terms of the application, yes, let's maybe not wait too long on it either. I would say they're kind of going to be in tandem. I'm assuming, you know, for dance as an example, she will not necessarily need to do an audition until she's applied, right? So I think realistically, like, application would still be my number one advice, to do that first and foremost. But I understand that she maybe wants to get a few ducks in a row first. But yeah, I think she's on the right track, and it's great that she knows what she wants to do. Sienna asked, yes, this is an admissions question. I can certainly answer that too. I saw the average for admission was mid 80s and it changed to high 80s on the website. I was wondering if I can get clarification on this. So yes, again, this is why I do want to emphasize that these are estimates. They do change throughout the year and depending on the cohort and or sorry, the pool of applicants that particular year or that particular time of year. So I mean, it's hard for me to kind of explain the jump, but it does explain why it can change throughout the year and why it's an estimate. And we don't say it's necessarily a minimum. It again is an estimate, it's an average.
Karen, could it be that if
Yeah.
Sienna was looking at the averages, say, back in August or July, it would have shown the average adjustment down for fall 2023?
Potentially. Yes.
Yeah. So again, those
It
changes.
does fluctuate. Yeah. So, which is why I personally always encourage students to really focus. I wouldn't say solely, but maybe perhaps a little bit more on the required courses, because that will not change, right? Those are going to be the mandatory requirements. I mean, I would hesitate to say, you know, always refresh the page and see if the averages change. I think that would be a lot of pressure on yourself. But again, more importantly, do you have the required courses, and continue to work hard in those courses, especially if this is your final year of high school. Does that answer your question, Jody? Yeah, okay. So the next one here that was sent at 7:31 p.m. our time. If you were to retake a science 30 class, like biology, for example, would that affect your chances of being admitted? Well, I suppose it would depend when you're retaking that course and when the results, like the final results, and how that would look on your transcript, or when it would appear on your transcript, just because the classes do have to be finished by a certain time, like I mentioned, and your transcripts will have to be submitted by a certain time as well. So we do always take the highest score that you received, but again, it would have to be in time for that assessment. I will have all of those courses completed this school year, but the status of my application said that an early offer couldn't be made because I hadn't completed these courses yet. We'll have all these courses completed this school year. So I know that you've remained relatively anonymous. Again, I'm not sure if there's two anonymous attendees, but I think in this case, depending where you're physically located right now and where you're completing high school, I think maybe this is better suited if we can address your questions more directly. We would want to kind of take a look into your application. Obviously, you'll have a UC ID at this point, so that we could really address those questions. I'm not sure what that note says, and I think it might be better in your case if we address this kind of like personally versus, for privacy reasons in a public forum. If you are comfortable, you can just share with me which country you're currently residing or doing your high school, and I can give you the specific contact of that particular advisor, recruiter, to walk you through those next steps and kind of figure out, where there was a lapse in either information or like transcripts or something that we can sort out for you. Kyla says, yeah, I guess she'll talk to her daughter. Yes, anonymous. Yeah, I'll stick around for a few more minutes. I do recognize that we are kind of at our 1 hour-ish mark already. So for those who, have stuck around, thank you so much. But, feel free to connect with us past this session, whether it's by email or for recruiters, we've actually got WhatsApp as well, and all our socials. So feel free to reach out. Anonymous attendee, I'll stick around for a little bit in case you wanted me to provide you with a more specific contact. But I do believe the link that I sent in the group chat, and I'm happy to send that one more time, you can always find the specific individual to connect with, depending on where you are currently located. And I'll just put that into the chat one more time to bump it up. And there we go. Oh, I can type my answer here too. Very nice.
Big thanks to everyone for joining tonight. I really appreciate all of you taking time out of your schedules. I know everyone's really busy this time of year, and school's loading it on, and yeah, so thank you very much for taking time. I really appreciate it. And please feel free to reach out to the Kinesiology advisors or to the emails that Karen has provided this evening as well. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to end this session now, and thanks again. Have a good day. Bye.